I have to get something off my chest. I do not yet think I'm on the bandwagon of fire Antonio Pierce. And to be honest with you, I don't really know where the nation as a whole stands on this matter because I've seen some people saying get him out of here immediately. It's all his fault. I've seen some people coming to the defense of AP and bringing up the Dan Campbell of it all. And we're going to get into all that. We're going to get into the records of some really, really good head coaches that started out not so great in their head coaching career. We're going to talk about all this. My main takeaway right off the rip is that I don't believe he should be fired at the end of the season. He should get another year, and I will get into exactly why I think that. But first, and by the way, I'm going to put time codes in this video in case you want to skip this whole segment, but I would appreciate it if you stuck around because I'm going to be talking about you. I want to spend the first couple minutes of this video talking about the fact that we hit 10,000 subscribers on this channel. Actually, we're halfway to 11,000. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I mean, it does and it doesn't. Like, I see all the comments, and I understand that for whatever reason, people seem to be gravitating toward this style of talking about the Raiders. I try to come at it with a level-head approach. I try to make it entertaining with my goofy personality. But I didn't expect to gain such a passionate following, small but passionate, this fast. And what's interesting and what's funny is if you've been with me long enough, I've been making videos on and off for this channel for 5 years now. And this past summer, not this summer, but the summer before this, I stopped making videos on this channel because I wanted to focus on my other movie channel. And I did that for like a month. And I was like, actually, I want to keep making regular videos. And I came back. And this past season was the first season I started posting videos pretty consistently. And we went from like 3,000 to 10,000 in a year. And it makes me think like why not continue to grow this thing? Because it is my goal. I never thought I would say this. You know, people have hopes and dreams or whatever. This would be my dream. To do this for a job would be the best life I could possibly have because it would give me the flexibility to be able to kind of live wherever I want for that month or whatever and work from wherever I want to work and continue to talk about the team that I love with the people that I love. I say it at the end of every video, and I'm not kidding. Like, I do love you guys. You guys are the reason I get out of bed and do this. I would love talking about the Raiders, and I do it often with no audience, with people who I'm sure are sick and tired of hearing about it. But the fact that I get to do this for any sort of living, and the fact that, you know, if I keep doing it for the next 5 years and we grow at the way we're going, I could just do this for an actual living. It means the world to me. It really does. And if you're watching this and you subscribe and you continue to watch, you are the best. You are quite literally the best. And for whatever reason, you find me appealing enough to keep watching. And I do appreciate that. So thank you seriously. Like I'm trying to, it's hard to like convey just how important it is to me that I've hit this milestone. Imagine giving a talk in front of 10,000 people. It's insane. It's insane. And as I continue to talk about this, right, we just hit 10,000. I get a lot of comments in the Discord. By the way, join the Discord, link in the description below. Not a lot of comments. I get a lot of comments, and I get a lot of suggestion in the Discord to start a YouTube membership thing where you kind of sign up for a certain amount of dollars a month, and you can get certain perks. You can get like cool, fancy things in the comments or whatever, right? You can get like priority comments, or you can get your name at the end of the credits, blah, blah, blah. The reason why I have not set that up, and the reason why I push the Patreon, which we can get into here in a second, is because I'm doing things on Patreon that you cannot access through YouTube membership, like videos like this early or ad-free. And I wouldn't feel right setting up a Patreon, or sorry, setting up a YouTube membership program for $5 a month that people sign up for just because they are, lazy or don't trust Patreon to get way more for $5 on Patreon than they would $5 on the YouTube membership thing. And I could do that. And the people who just don't want to go to Patreon could just sign up for the $5 tier and get nothing close to what they actually get on Patreon. And to bring up the Patreon right now, I can pull it up for you. The reason why, so that's why I don't have a YouTube membership, because I don't want to. It's not like trick you guys into paying for something that's not valuable to you. Like if you just have a YouTube membership as a YouTube channel, that's okay. But if you have a Patreon and a YouTube membership, to me that it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, because you can get more on Patreon. And the reason why I use Patreon specifically as we transition to Patreon is because YouTube takes out a way higher percentage of what I would be getting on those payments rather than Patreon. I've been loyal to Patreon since day one. And, we have 21 paid members, which is insane. And if you go to the link in the description below or type in your search bar, patreon.com/ALLaBorde this is what you see. You see my videos, but they're locked. And you get them ad-free at a certain tier. You get them early. And you get Patreon exclusive videos like the series I just started, where I'm reacting to and breaking down each potential quarterback for the Las Vegas Raiders. A sneak preview is right here. This feels like it's going to be one. Like that right there. That's what I want to see. Guy kind of in his face, steps up, throws a laser beam between two people. These are the highlights I want to see. Stay in the pocket. There you go. There's the touch. Okay. See, like that's NFL Open right there. I don't hate what I'm seeing so far, guys. And there are other Patreon exclusive series like this one where I talk about how I started this YouTube channel and the pitfalls to avoid when starting your own. I'm doing that monthly. So if you head over to the membership tab, there's only two. There's a free one that doesn't really get you anything. I don't know why that's even an option. But there's a $5 and a $10. With the $5, you get early access to every video I upload. You get your name at the end of the credits. You get Patreon exclusive videos, right? And if you join the $10 tier, you get every video I ever post ad free, and you get monthly YouTube channel advice from yours truly. So the reason, again, why I use Patreon instead is because YouTube takes out a higher percentage, and because I can give you more for the $5 and $10 tiers than I would on YouTube. And again, wouldn't feel comfortable charging people the same amount on YouTube that I do on Patreon when you can get so much more for Patreon. And that's why I'm hanging on for you guys that want to join YouTube memberships to make the transition. We're at 21 members right now. Let's get to 25. And again, this is my version of donations or super chats. You can do that in the comments below, but I don't really ask for that too often because I want you to get something for the money that you put into the channel, and this is the best way to support that movement. Okay, all that out of the way. Thank you so much for subscribing, and thank you so much for doing everything you guys do. And by the way, 61% of you that watch are not yet subscribed. Hit that subscribe button. It's free. Okay, back to reality, which is Antonio Pierce. Here's the reason why I don't want to give up on him yet. And it's like threefold or fourfold. But the first point I want to make is this. I don't believe in just firing people. And I understand, like, I said it myself. The Texans fired somebody in Lovie Smith that they hired after one season. They went to D'Amico Ryans and they changed everything. But we're going to go McDaniels to AP, whoever else it is. And it just sets a bad precedent for the guys in the locker room and the guys that want to take this job. If you don't have job security, it's going to be hard for people like Ben Johnson who want to be the coach of the Raiders. And I'll get to Ben Johnson and the other coaching prospects in a second. But I don't want to be that organization that just keeps churning through coaches before they find the right one. I want to give these guys a chance, okay? Unless it gets so bad like the McDaniels of it all, where we actually had a good quarterback and a good team and still could win any games. And that's why I want to get into like the Gardner Minshew, Aiden O'Connell of it all. Antonio Pierce wanted to get Jaden Daniels and signed Cliff Kingsbury. That's just a fact. Both of those things fell through. And I don't entirely blame him for how bad the quarterback has been. And I do think for the most part, this team, even in its losses, has been pretty competitive. I've seen guys wanting to play for Antonio Pierce, and that goes a long way. And just because he has a bad first year, I mean, I don't count the interim year. It is what it was. Doesn't mean we should just write him off completely. And this is where I want to get into the guys like Dan Campbell. I mean, we know Dan Campbell, right? We know his first season, not counting his interim year, was 3-13. But the next year, they still didn't make the playoffs. It wasn't until year 3 that he completely changed the culture of the team, being able to build a roster with the same GM he's had since he started. They gave him time to struggle. How about Sean Payton? His first year in New Orleans, he went 10-6, pretty good, but then went 7-9, 8-8, missed the playoffs back-to-back years before that 13-3 season where they won the Super Bowl. It takes a couple years to build a competent roster to be able to compete as well as you want to. Andy Reid, his first year in Philadelphia, 5-11. Not great. Then he flipped the switch because he's one of the best coaches ever. Went 11-5, 11-5, 12-4. But again, it takes time. You need to find your quarterback. And what do all of these guys have in common? Jared Goff, Drew Brees, Donovan McNabb. They found their quarterback. If you don't have a quarterback, you're not going to be able to succeed unless you're Mike Tomlin, who's one of the best coaches ever. Speaking of one of the best coaches ever, Bill Belichick. Look at how much he struggled in Cleveland. 6-10, 7-9, 7-9, 11-5. 5-11, 5-11, fired. Then he goes, or 5-11, fired. Then he goes to New England and goes 5-11 again. And then they gave him another chance, Super Bowl champion. It takes a while for your team to become your vision. And that's why I think at the very least, we should probably give Antonio Pierce one more season to try to see if we can improve on whatever our roster ends up being and whatever our record ends up being at the end of this season. With all that being said, there is one candidate that I would change my whole tune on, and it's not Bill Belichick, and I saw those rumors. It's not Slowick or Kubiak. It's not Mike Vrabel. It's Ben Johnson, the Lions offensive coordinator. If he gave you the guarantee that he would take your job, which is not how it works, but if that did happen, and he said, I want to pick the quarterback, me and Telesco, we're going to flip this thing in its head. We're going to be a new creative offense. We're going to be smash mouth, Detroit Lions type, but the Raider way. I would have a hard time saying no to Ben Johnson. I think he is the next great offensive play calling head coach in the National Football League, and he is the one guy I would jump ship off the Antonio Pierce bandwagon and be leading the train to go get. So he's the one person that I would consider to replace Antonio Pierce. But even the way AP handles himself on the sidelines and in the press conferences, I do believe it's a positive. Again, this has not been a great first year, but the quarterback position is a problem. Devontae gave up on him in March, which is all the reports. And yeah, we're committing a lot of penalties, but we're a young football team. We got guys like Brock Bowers and DJ Glaze and Jackson Powers-Johnson playing meaningful minutes. Tommy Eichenberg. These guys are young, and they're committing young penalties. So I do think we need to just pump the brakes on the fire AP bandwagon just yet, unless this season completely devolves into a lack of competency, Josh McDaniels levels-esque. I think he gets another year, and I think he should. But if we fire him, we better have Ben Johnson ready to come in here. And there are other good options, like Vrabel, like Slowick, like Belichick. Sure, why not? The problem is the idea that we just keep firing people. So let's just pick a direction and try to go with it for a couple seasons. And if it doesn't work out, you start over and you try again. It's nothing new for us. And those are my thoughts on it. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Like I said in the beginning, thank you so much for 10,000 subscribers. Join that Discord. It's a free group chat. Link in the description below. Join the Patreon, patreon.com/ALLaBorde. You know all the perks you get there. Thank you so much for watching. I love you guys, and I'll see you next time.